So in this video I'd like to discuss home nursery. I believe that any serious gardening or small farming effort requires a nursery. Any serious horticulturalist, person who's interested in plants, is going to find that the nursery will not only save you money on what you have to spend for your plants, they'll allow you to collect rare varieties and propagate them, allow you to take plants from the wild and propagate them like natives. They will also possibly lead towards income. When you reach the point in your gardening efforts that you're producing more than what you need, gardening suddenly is no longer a deficit or a negative in your economy, it becomes a positive. And the nursery is definitely one of the places where the home gardener can actually make a reasonable sum of money by propagating plants. We're here now in my nursery in Puna, Hawaii. Most of this space is dedicated to the production of coffee and a few other commercial plants that I'm using here on the farm. Right here I have a whole group of coffee plants that will be going into the ground by this afternoon. They've reached maturity, filled their pots, and so I'm ready to move them on into the field. Right over here on this table, though, I have a group of coffee plants that won't be ready to move until about October. So they got maybe another 4 or 5 months to go growing in those containers before they're ready to move out of here. So in a good nursery, we always have our crops coming in stages. Seeds germinating or cuttings rooting, young plants, bigger plants, and so on. The ins and outs of building a nursery in your yard, really the more effort you put to it, I think, and the more thought you put to it, the better off your product will come out. In this case here, I'm using concrete blocks stood on end. The soil underneath them has been leveled, and then I've covered the soil with a geotextile weed block to keep weeds and things from coming up under here. It also eliminates some of the mud from my watering. On top of the blocks, I have placed the corner posts for chain link fences. These are steel galvanized pipes, and I'm using those to hold up welded metal mesh that's hot dipped galvanized that I'm using for the top of my tables. You see right here on the corners I have a tennis ball to keep from injuring myself as I run around the edges of my nursery tables in a hurry. Right there, you see there's a piece of wire that I've twisted the pipe with galvanized wire down to the top of the table. That's been done on all of the pipes, and the center pipe is placed in the block with the depression in the center so it keeps things from rolling. We've got 3 sets of pipes here that extend down the table. The tables are 16 foot long. So having tables to grow your stock on keeps it elevated off of the ground. That will keep some of the crawlers from the ground level, like slugs and such, out of the pots to some extent. It also helps keep the earthworms from burrowing into the soil and knocking it out of the containers. That happens quite a bit. But the main reason why I've elevated the tables in this case is to keep the weeds from coming up between the pots. Because the pots are on top of this metal mesh, any soil that works its way out of the pot hits the weed block under the table, and it doesn't generally grow too many weeds that way, and if it does, they're under the table in the shadow, and so they're stunted. If you lay the plants flat down on top of the weed block, a lot of times you'll get a big sludge of soil underneath the containers after a while, and then you end up with weeds coming up everywhere. I have to keep the weed block cleaned off under here. I use a high pressure hose and sweep away any debris that might get on it so that this remains sanitary. I have some advantages in this particular climate. the rainfall is adequate to be able to grow things without irrigation. So you can see there's some dew and water on the leaves. It rained this morning, which is typical in this area, that we would receive rainfall, once a day or so. Probably never go more than 3 days without getting rain. And so by using the proper soil mix and keeping the plants in the proper size container, we get by without having to worry about the irrigation. Generally, things in windward Hawaii tend to grow about the same way as they would in a greenhouse anywhere else on Earth. These growing conditions over here are remarkable. The crops that I'm raising here are usually left unattended for anywhere from between 3 and 6 months at a time every year as I come and go from this particular site. So that means that what I'm raising here has to be able to fend for itself in my absence. As you can see, this group of coffee is quite presentable. There's a little bit of slug damage in some of the leaves. Other than that, they really look good. This is pretty much commercial grade stuff here. The way it's done, or the way I do it at least, is to use a standard gallon black plastic nursery pot to hold my medium. The medium I'm using is a combination of Pro Mix with mycorrhizae and a cocoa peat or shredded coconut hulls. That's mixed together 50-50, and then I place it in the containers. I put the plant into the material. We use a time-release fertilizer into the pot, and then I'm using this disc right here. This is another geotextile. It's a form of weed block. The disc has a slit cut in it right here, and it allows me to put it around the plant. It fits perfectly into 1-gallon pots, and it keeps the weeds from coming up inside the pots when I'm not around. This material right here is the cocoa peat I referred to. It's the husk from the coconut hull. When they take the coconuts out of their initial husk, this is the waste product that's left over. It's a renewable resource, so it's a steady supply of this stuff from coconut producing countries. I believe this bale came from Sri Lanka. It's relatively inexpensive. The stuff, like a cocoa doormat, lasts darn near forever, so the soil doesn't break down rapidly on me when I use this as an amendment. That's a good thing here in Puna, because the relatively warm temperatures and the high rainfall will tend to break down conventional compost-based soils really fast. A lot of local guys use lava cinder. You may have seen that in your houseplant pots, and that does work. It's heavier, and there are some problems with nematode with it these days, and so I've gone to using this mixed with this product over here. It's called Pro Mix. Like I said, this is the one. High porosity, and it has a mycorrhizal culture in it, so we got a beneficial fungi group in here. Basically what this stuff is milled sphagnum peat moss with perlite and a few other amendments. That's mixed 50-50, and I fill my containers with it. There are a lot of different time-release fertilizers. A person could use organics, and organics are fine. The only issue I have with them is, since at times I'm absent for as much as 6 months, the organics usually wash out of the containers and they're gone before I come back, and then my plants become chlorotic or stunted. This product here is a time-release triple 13, and it says type 180. That means that this will feed steadily for half a year. And so this gets me off the hook with the feedings. If I come around at least every 6 months and toss a few of these into the pot, I can keep my plants growing well. 1 tablespoon of this material per gallon container size is adequate. There are other similar products. Osmocote is a very common product sold in garden stores. Works exactly the same. Good product. This is a little bit cheaper. It's more of a commercial grower's fertilizer. So there's a variety of different things on the table here. These are the young coffee plants. There's an abiu and even an avocado that I was growing as a rootstock. Here's the miracle fruit. Right there are some exotic hibiscus cuttings I just struck yesterday. And then we've got purple taro, and we have the Hawaiian green taro over there. So the purple one is a ornamental, and the green taro is the one that we eat. The taro propagation, again, is a simple thing. That's just by division of the corm of the plant, and put a little bit of corm in each one of the pots, and then grow it out for about 6 months, and you end up with what we see here. I usually never toss away seeds from exotic fruit that I purchase here in the local markets, and so here we have chico sapote, which is just incredible fruit, and we also have some nice longan right here, or the dragon eye. These are from seed. I'll spread them out in the field here and there around the coffee plants. By using the home nursery allows you to collect a lot of things and maintain them in your own landscapes. I have people ask me all the time, Bill, you talk about all these unusual plants you're growing, but how do I get one? If you have a nursery, then you're able to take seeds you've acquired, or cuttings that you've gotten your hands on, or bulbs and pieces of plants, whatever it is that you might have sourced, and to propagate it. Right here are some of my yellow dragon fruit. These are just the leavings from pruning the mature plants in the front yard. Larger pieces, I stuck them in the pots. So these plants over here are, again, more coffee, and they're of size to be ready for planting in this coming fall. Probably about October I'll be back here to put these in the ground. They're the last crop. The current crop is over here, and these are size enough to go into the soil. I try to focus. I could plant anything and everything out here, but I try to stick to the program, and right now it's coffee, so the tables are loaded, and it's just about time for me to get these out of the pot and into the field, so I think I'm going to go look for my shovel. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.